Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom, and welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Bangtail Whiskey. I am locally known Jeff Stanfield with the world-famous Andy Shaver. How you doing, Andy?
Doing excellent, Jeff.
You had a good day today?
It's okay.
Good.
It's all right. We're looking up. Not bad for early in the week.
With us today from American Fork, Utah, the Blake Poppy lookalike from Utah, Mr. Brock Tanner. How you doing, Brock?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Have you went to anywhere yet and anybody else told you that you look like Blake Poppy?
No, I don't think I have. I get, pretty much anyone who can't grow facial hair, I'll get a lot of people tell me I look like them.
Blake Poppy.
That's Blake.
Aside from that, no. Can't say I have.
Well, Blake is a damn good waterfowl hunter and a good guy. Now,
that's good.
If you can compete with him in the waterfowl, then you're doing really, really good. Now, if you slay the babes like Blake used to, and have as much fun as Blake used to, then you're having a really good life.
Well, I'm starting to get older, and those days are kind of slowing down. Kind of winding down the drinking and everything like that. It's kind of, you get to an age where it's not as fun and waking up in the morning and everything like that. So
wait till you turn 53.
What's that?
Wait till you turn 53. Andy, have you had a hangover?
It's coming up quick.
53 is a long way away. You're halfway there. Andy, have you had a hangover lately?
No. The last hangover I had was
Zach's wedding?
Yeah, probably so. I'd say so. A couple years ago.
Was it most miserable one you've ever had?
Oh, fuck, not by a long shot. There's some in college where I could barely open my eyes the next day. Yeah, I'd say it was Zach's wedding. It wasn't bad, though. Had a little bit of a headache and a little bit of Tylenol, and at least I didn't have to catch a plane like Blake did.
Your son reminded me of that the other day, too.
That I threw up?
He said, yeah, Dad got drunk at Zach's wedding, and he got real sick.
I did.
I said, Jesse's like, how do you know that?
I did.
He remembers it. He soaks in everything. He's like a sponge.
Some things just stick with kids.
Yes, they do. Okay, Brock, tell me this. Utah is one of my destinations that I would like to come hunt, and I would like to hunt the Salt Lake, the Great Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Is there a ton of hunting pressure there?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of people, and with the population growth in Utah, I'm sure you guys are seeing it quite a bit right now too. It's getting worse and worse every year. There's definitely places you can still get away from people, but there's also places you don't want to end up without, if you want kind of to be discreet in hunting, it's kind of tough. It seems like this sport's kind of getting to be extremely populated, and yeah, especially on the WMAs, the waterfowl management areas here, they're definitely, it's getting harder and harder to find somewhere where you can go without running into a bunch of people. We have some dikes. A lot of our waterfowl management areas are set up with dikes that, people will just line up and shoot them as they pass over, and just flock shot them as they're coming over the top of these dikes, and it'll be shoulder to shoulder on some days. And it's kind of the way the waterfowl hunting's getting. Yeah, it's getting pretty bad, but there's still definitely some great hunting in Utah, and you can definitely find some great hunting here.
Now, are people flocking from California? Is that where they're coming from?
Yeah, it seems to be the big one. California. Yeah, I would say just mostly California.
See, that makes sense, because it's not. How far are you from California? 8 hours?
Yeah, about 8 or 9 hours.
So that makes sense. I can see people coming to Utah and getting out of that mess, but then they're just kind of, they're slowly taking over everywhere. That's what's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Them fuckers.
Exactly. The population of California is just so huge that now they've kind of ate everything up out there. Now they're coming to the local states.
Okay. Did you watch that Mormon show on Netflix?
I have not.
Are you Mormon?
I didn't. I was raised Mormon. Grew up, Mormon, then kind of just fell out.
So you're like,
kind of seems like a cult more or less now than it is a religion.
He's like breaking Amish.
But I don't have any.
Breaking
what's
breaking
that?
Amish. It's breaking Mormons now.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with anyone who is Mormon. You know, they are very nice people. I can't say anything bad about it, but you know, some of the stuff they preach is kind of contradicting, but
Well,
is what it is.
most religions
Yes.
contradict somewhere. That fucking Netflix show, let me tell you.
Which one is it?
Catching Mormon, Murder Among Mormons.
Oh, I need to watch. Is it a good one?
Oh.
Yeah, it's 4 episodes and it's a good one.
I need to watch that. You know, the only Mormons I know are good people. I don't know a lot of Mormons. We don't have a lot of them here, but the ones we do have are really, really good people, family oriented. They all have one wife, which I highly recommend that to anyone. I don't know why anybody would want more than one fucking wife.
Well, I feel like that's kind of a common misconception because, like, polygamists are the ones with the multiple wives, you know. And I think, I you know, I'm not positive on it, but I think, you know, they're kind of a different branch of it, you know, the ones with the multiple wives. So yeah, every time, you know, when we go back east hunting and stuff like that, that everyone will say, "You're Mormon, raised Mormon. How many wives you got?" And it's like, I don't know about that, but
Well,
know.
I can tell you from someone that has one wife, two would be way too many, and those people would be the crazy ones in the sect. The only people that we see, the only Mormons that we deal with are the boys that ride the bikes. And they come to the front door, and if you ask them if they masturbate, then they leave real fast, and that's the end of that deal, so he gets rid of them pretty fast. So
That's a way to get rid of the missionaries.
we'll get off the lid. I just was curious, is the dating scene among Mormons, is that pretty tough? Because them girls are pretty, what's the word I'm looking for, Andy? Straight-laced?
Stuck up.
I don't know about stuck up. I was kind of like straight-laced, pretty straight-laced young ladies.
Yeah, I guess it's just kind of the crowd you hang around, you know. I mean, there's definitely, I've seen a bunch of bishops' daughters that are, you know, the craziest parties of them all. But you know, I don't know. It's not too hard. I mean, just like any other state, they're here, but I mean, pretty much everyone you talk to is Mormon. I mean, so you got the ones that are good and the ones that are straight edge, and you know, I would say it's about the same with anywhere.
Blake would have been tough on the Mormon girls, wouldn't he, have, Andy?
Well, I think that Joseph Smith he wrote a couple other things too that didn't take on like the Mormon Church did. I think he had other writings that
I'm not sure. I haven't really studied too much on the Mormon religion. I know, you know, some people said that it was kind of a con artist.
I think
and that's
he was.
where I kind of, you know, you fall off of it. Where I don't know and I think his wife was young too as well, but I'm not quite certain and couldn't tell you on that one.
The problem with
but,
the
yeah,
Mormon thing is like, okay, Christianity it's 2,000 years old. You know, that's long enough to where people like Mormonism. What was that in the 1800s? Like that's a fairly new religion. So
exactly,
it hadn't had the, you know, there was other stuff going on. It's too easy to fact check, I guess I should say.
Exactly. Yeah, there's some fucking going around.
But yeah, if you have time, I'd watch that show on Netflix.
What is it called again?
Murder
Among Mormons. I might start
and like
it
you
tonight.
watch the first couple episodes and you're like, holy shit! Like how does anybody go along with this shit? And then like by the end, you see everything comes full circle.
Real
it's a
quick,
very good show.
Before we get into waterfowl with you, I watched a great Netflix comedy this week called The Upshaws.
Oh, yeah.
With Mike Epps. Fucking 5 stars, funny as hell. Okay, Brock. So tell me about this hunting. Do you hunt out of the big airboats and stuff, or how do you do it?
I mean, just depends. I try and focus more on goose hunting. That's my favorite of them all. I still do duck hunting quite a bit. I haven't done the airboats out on the Great Salt Lake. You know, we've hunted out of them on the spur, which is another freshwater intake out by the Salt Lake, where you can get out there and hunt some, you know, just basic waterfowl hunting and waders and everything like that. But the water's pretty shallow getting out there, so a lot of times you'll need an airboat to even get out there. But I know I haven't done the green-winged teal bass or the you know, the shoveler shooting out there on the Great Salt Lake. But we have a lot of really good freshwater waterfowl management areas that surround the Great Salt Lake, and those are some extremely good hunting areas. And I mean, Utah gets a large variety of waterfowl species. I don't think there's any species that we don't get besides maybe sea ducks. I mean, we don't really get blue-winged teal or speckle bellies. Speckle bellies is a far few in between bird out here. I actually killed my first one this last season, and that's, I mean, I've seen probably, I've shot a lot of honkers. I've seen maybe in my life, I can probably count on one hand the amount I've seen. And so that's a species that we don't really get. But aside from that, I mean, we get a taste of a snow goose migration. We get a taste of pretty much everything, from your divers to your puddle ducks. But yeah, we have some good hunting out here, and if you find the right spots, you can get into a really good shoot. And I believe it's 7 ducks for the limit as well. So back east where it's 5 and 4 in some places.
And 2. So can you shoot? You can shoot 10 speckle bellies where you're at. Is that right?
No, I don't think so. They're the 4.
That'll be further west then.
Because I guess they. Yeah, I want to say it's further west because they rope them just in the category of a dark goose, and our dark goose limits four birds per person. I think they were talking about moving it up to 5. I don't know if if that's sunk in or anything, but kind of heard talkings of that. But I believe it's just 4 for the speckle bellies.
Boy, they're a pain in the ass if you ever get a hold of them.
What, shooting specs? You love shooting the specs, just the hard specs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, in spring snow goose hunting, they don't give 2 shits. I mean, you hunt them in Arkansas, they're freaking all over in your spread, walking around. Don't give a crap about you being there.
How many days do you hunt a year?
I try and, I mean, with work, for the regular season, I'll mostly a weekend warrior. Try and get out 2 times a weekend, and if I can get off work, or if I do snow removal during the winter. So if it's a bluebird day and our work's slow, I'll try and sneak out a little earlier. Our season's 107 days or something like that. I would say I'd probably hunt half, maybe at least. Then during the snow goose hunt, I guide down in Arkansas and Iowa, so I'll move over there and hunt every day there for the full month of February in Arkansas, and then Iowa's, I think, like 25 days there.
So you're a snow goose guide in Arkansas. You poor bastard.
Yep. it's yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know what draws me back every year, but it's fun. I don't know. I just love the chaos nature of the snow geese, and laying in the mudding is fun. Getting rained on every single day is not as fun, but when you get a big tornado to work, it can be a blast, and it makes it all worth it there in the end.
Mikey tried to tell me this week. Talk to Mikey. He says it's not as bad as you and Andy made it sound like. I go, yes, it is. I go, you're 18 years old. It is.
I mean, if you get a good snow goose day, like a sunny 15-mile-an-hour winds migration day, oh my gosh, you can't beat it. But it seems to be like when you want those days to happen, they don't want to happen, and you end up, especially in Arkansas. I've never seen weather like Arkansas, where it's just every single day it's going to rain. And here in Utah, I mean, the weather's so flip-flop that it will show 100% chance of rain. You might not see a raindrop all day, versus there where it'll show 10% chance, 15% chance of rain, and you're preparing for it rain all day, downpour. It can be
What's
rough.
the most birds you've ever been on a snow goose spring hunt and killed?
93.
It's a good day.
That's a good
haven't
hunt.
broke the 100 mark on the snow goose. Yeah, it was a good shoot. I've had plenty of days where we were on track to shoot 100 bird days, and I'm sure you guys know just as much as anyone that clients aren't the greatest shots. There's great client shots, but it seems to be like the majority of them aren't. So there'll be days where you'll put birds right in the kill hole, and you can expect them all to be dead, and look up and one of them there's doing the chicken walk out of the freaking decoys. But
it's on a snow goose hunt, what is the average amount of shell? Have you ever had a guy run out of shells, a customer?
Oh yeah, you definitely do. Because I mean, unplugged shotguns, and most of these guys just shoot until they can't shoot no more. So yeah, you'll have clients be like, "Hey, I need to run back to the trucks. I got to get shells." It's like, but typically, you're shooting 2-3 boxes a day, 2 boxes typically. Unless it's just a slow day, which you can't control. But
Well, hold on.
I would say typically
You're shooting hell, that's what we shoot here just about. A lot of guys.
Yeah, box
and a half, 2 box. That surprises me. So when a guy goes to the field, you tell him to carry 2 boxes with him, or do you tell him to carry more?
I would say, I would tell him if a client came up to me and said how many shells to bring, I'd say bring enough for 2 boxes a day, and if they don't shoot that, so be it. And then, I mean, typically, to be honest, probably a box is probably more like what you're going to shoot a day. I mean, but then again, some of these guys are shooting 10, 12 plus fucking tube extensions. So, and they're dumping those out every time 5 birds come in. And so they're cleaning through boxes. I mean, you can clean through a box on 2-3 volleys. So it goes pretty quick.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
I mean, the hard part right now is probably finding shotgun shells. Is that a problem out there in Texas where you guys are at, or do you guys still got pretty good ammo?
Right now nobody's buying shotgun shells out here, and there won't nobody buy no shells till dove season gets here. And that's a good question because they sell a shitload of shells during dove season. I wonder if that's going to be a problem. I've got customers already. Boss is already delivering shells to the lodge for guys for December and January. And I tell people all the time, you go ahead and get what you better order. If I was booking a hunt to go somewhere, I would try to get my shells ordered right now. It would be a priority more than it would be in a normal year. In a normal year, if I was going hunting in December, I wouldn't even worry about getting shells till November probably. But this year, I would get my hunts now. And I guess we're going to find out in 3 weeks what the status is going to be on Canada for the year, because I think June 21st they're supposed to announce if it's going to be open September, which it's not going to be open in September. There ain't nothing going to change there.
You don't think?
Hell no. They're putting them on more of a lockdown.
Well, I mean, here's the deal. If they are open, say June 21st is the day, can you, as an outfitter, could you salvage that?
Yeah,
you damn sure try to if you're an outfitter. The problem you're going to have is people being able to get airline flights that are flying
That's
up there.
what I'm saying.
To get there.
There's a lot of moving pieces, and it's just going to all come in a wave.
They're not. They will not be open this year. I'm telling you 100%. I know people. I don't know anybody in this deal, but I'm telling you, they will not be open this year. When they do open, if it's next fall, if they are open, and I'm not so sure that they will be open then, it's going to be where you're going to have to quarantine for 14 freaking days. And they're having a lot of interpolitical problems right now up there between the provinces and all kinds of shit. I read some stuff today. But they will not be open this year. I'm telling you right now, they will not be. But, yes, if they did come out June 21st and they said that the outfitters are going to do everything they can. But, could you imagine trying to throw that together in 10 weeks? That would be a tough deal.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got to get visas in order.
Yeah, and I'm assuming some outfitters are getting their paperwork done in case it would happen, but It's not going to happen. And I'm telling you right now, the hunting business is a cutthroat business. It is. And anybody that's in the hunting business knows that. And anybody that's been around the hunting business knows that. But I really, really, really feel so bad for them guys. I don't want to see anybody have trouble with business or nothing. And those guys, what they're going through the next 2 years, 2 years of not being able to have hunts and stuff, I don't see how 10 or 15% of them even survive to be in business.
Yeah.
There will be a lot of zones up there to buy pretty cheap come November, December this year probably.
If they stay closed this year.
If they stay closed this year. And they're not going to be open. It's too late in the game. But I don't know about airplane tickets and everything's going to be fucked up. So you got in other places. So do y'all kill a bunch of cinnamon teal in Utah? Or is that just me thinking that and it doesn't happen?
Yeah. Utah has a ton of cinnamon teal, especially early season. I mean, you're not going to kill a real tomato redbird early season. You might get one that's full of pin feathers, but early season there's a bunch here. Then once they migrate down to Mexico and everything like that, as they're migrating back, that's your better chance. Later, and our season goes a little bit later into January, so you can find them. I killed 2 or 3 this year that were really good plumed out cinnamon teal, and then I've got a few buddies that I hunt with as well that were, that second week in January, that first week in January, they were really getting into them heavy and killing them quite a bit. And they're a beautiful bird. That's one. And we don't have a ton of guiding here because I mean Utah, we get a little bit of everything. We don't get a big push of birds, but we get a taste of everything. And they just did away with uh, guiding on public land here in Utah. And I mean, that's going to hurt a lot of businesses here. I mean, we've only got 2 or 3 guide outfits for duck hunting here, and I mean, that's the majority of what they target. I mean, they 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 a lot of people are coming here to Utah. I've got buddies that from out of state that hit me up every year. Hey, want to kill cinnamon tail? And I mean, I feel bad, but it's I mean, the cinnamon tail, they're a beautiful bird, and people love targeting them. I mean, we're one of few states that get them. I think it's us, Nevada, California, and Mexico. Do you guys get them down there in
We've
Texas?
killed a couple every year the last 3 years, but before that, it was
Okay.
5 or 10 one year and 20 something one year, and that was it over a 20-year period. And then the last 3 years, we've killed some.
Okay.
So hold on just a minute, back to something. So they've passed a rule in Utah. There's no guiding on public land.
Yep. They just did this year. It's going to go into effect this next year. And I think you guys talked to Chad Humane.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's with Fried Feathers. That's, I would say, our biggest outfit here in Utah. I think there's only 2 other ones that I can think of. And I mean, they're no longer. I mean, and that's the Fried Feathers. They guide primarily on public land for swan hunts as well as cinnamon tail. I mean, they still do duck hunts as well, but a lot of people love to come here and try and target the cinnamon tail. But they're no longer going to be able to do that. I'm sure they'll still be able to figure something out with our private lands, because we do have a lot of duck clubs out here. So I don't know where the limitation will fall on that. But I mean, it's really going to hurt them, especially for that public land I was telling you about, the spur, which you need an airboat to get out there. And these guys are spending, 50, 60 grand on an airboat and gear to get out there, which the basic public, unless you're a diehard waterfowl hunter, that these guys can't do. And now they're not allowed to do it out there either. And so I'm curious to see what that effect is going to have on Utah waterfowl hunting. I mean, it seems to be, I don't know, the forums I've read, it seems to be the dike shooters that signed it and wanted it to pass, but I couldn't say. But yeah, it's really going to affect
That's a big loss in any state. If you went to Arkansas and you took out the hunting on public land, that's a bunch. The Texas coast is full of public land. A lot of the lakes in East Texas, you have to. There's places you can hunt. Any state, if you took out the guides, and we don't guide on public land, we hunt all private. But I know a lot of places that have guides on public land. But and I'm surprised, because I don't think of none of the western states as having a lot of private land, and I know they do. But I think more of all the public waters that they have there, and the Great Salt Lake is huge. That's going to be a big. That's going to cause a lot of problems that's going to take a lot of pressure probably off some birds for you guys then.
I don't think it's going to matter too much. I mean, I wasn't for it. I wasn't against it. I wish that they would have kept it, because, I don't want to see these guys out of a business, especially being in the waterfowl industry. Not very, I haven't been in it for very long, but I mean, these are some of these guys' dream jobs, and to tell them that they can no longer do that, it's kind of a fucked up deal. And so I feel for them, but I don't think it's going to make a difference at all. Because I mean, these places that these guys are hunting, you do need, for the most part, the equipment to get out there. And I mean, no John Doe is going to freaking go do that, and no one's going to spend 50, 60 grand to kill a couple, green-winged teal or whatever it is. And I mean, people might say opposed to it, but I feel like it didn't really make a difference, and now it's just adding more limitations to what people can and can't do, and it's just the government now getting involved and telling you can no longer make money doing something like waterfowl hunting.
Well, I've been saying on here since last year that I figured the federal government's going to stop hunting on federal land, and I see that coming down the road. I don't know when it's going to be, but I don't trust our government. Andy, are you shocked by this?
I mean, for Utah or
just the overall, because this is probably going to be a trend that's going to start. Everything that starts out in western United States seems to come to the east.
I mean, how much private land do y'all have out there?
Not a lot. I mean, there's definitely duck clubs that own quite a bit of big chunks to it, but um, yeah, we don't have a ton of private land. I mean, and it's such a money grab out here, especially with goose hunting and duck hunting in general. I mean, the good stuff does get grabbed up, and I don't foresee them being able to guide on the private land. But the public land, we have a ton. Like I would say, a very large portion of it is public land. I mean, as far as um, the Spur, Farmington Bay, Bear River Bird Refuge, Ogden Bay. There's a ton of public land, and that's really gonna cut it in half. Especially, I mean, with the swan hunts, and I'd say that's probably their biggest market is swan hunting. The swan hunts, I mean, they limit to only the Salt Lake County areas, and just to the north of Salt Lake a little bit, to where I mean that's where all that public land is, and so now they're no longer allowed to guide swan hunts on the public land. I mean yeah, it kind of screws them out of
Was
that
this
one.
a vote by the people or a vote on the House floor in Utah?
I think it was a vote on the House floor. I'm not certain on that,
Yep.
but I believe it was a vote on the House floor.
So it wasn't put to the people.
No, I mean they did a survey to the people, but I don't know how much of effect that had on it.
Well, I can tell you as an outfitter, if Joe the public is involved voting against an outfitter, the outfitter's going to get the big shyster every time. Because Joe Public does not like outfitters anywhere. Mm-hmm. You know, the people that hunt with you, they like you. But when they go home to their part of the world, they don't want an outfitter competing with them for the same piece of property on public land. Well, I mean, and I understand that. I had a game warden tell me one time, he said, I just don't think it's right to waterfowl hunt on public land. I go, why? Well, I just don't think it's right.
To take hunters out.
On public land. And I told him, I said...
And I see both parts of it. I mean...
every fishing guide anywhere in America is guiding fishing trips on public land. And I told him that, and he goes, I never thought about that. Well, it's the same principle. I mean, they're taking... You go to the Texas coast... I bet on the Texas coast between Port O'Connor and Brownsville, Texas, I bet there's 1,000 fishing guides easily. And every one of them is making a living on public land, public water. And if you go to the Great Lakes and anywhere else.
Yeah, those fishing charges. But I wonder how much of it is availability. You know, I don't know, you know, with it being a migrating bird, I don't know if that's going to be have a different effect on it to a fish that is, you know, in that body of water.
Well, but it's still in the same principle. You're hunting on a public piece of property. I'm not justifying that it's not harder on the ducks or the fish or whatever. I'm just saying it's the same principle. If you're guiding a fishing trip on a public lake, you're doing the same thing that a duck guide's doing, or a deer guide, or a guy shooting turkeys on public. It's all public property. You know, we don't base our living on hunting on public property. But I understand where Joe Public comes from. He pays taxes. He wants to take his kid out on a hunt, and he wants to go to the local lake, and there's 10 outfitters out there getting money off of the few ducks that are still there. So I see where he's coming from. I get both. And so if it comes to a vote, that's why I was wondering if it was a vote by the people or a House floor. But the guide's only chance is at the House floor because he's not going to win a public vote. I don't think. Do you, Andy?
No, and I mean, just like we've said, if there's already a limited number of ducks, and it's different where you are because you said you need an airboat, so that kind of throws a wrench. Like, who the fuck cares? You can't get to them anyway if you don't have an airboat. But a lot of these places, if it is just public water, and dad and son go out there and they can't get to the spot because outfitters have taken over, well, they're going to get pissed about that. But I mean, if you make if this is how you're making your living, like you got to kind of figure that something like this might happen.
Yeah, if you live in another state, you better get your ducks in a row because it's probably going to happen.
But I mean, if you're making a living based off of public land, and you got to be ready for the day that they say, okay, no more businesses, nobody's going to make money off of public land anymore. It's just
the contradicting part is like big game is a huge thing out here in Utah, and that's still guidable on public land.
That's federal land, though, right?
And just any public BLM or anything like that.
Well, is the Great Salt Lake federal or state?
I think it's BLM land.
So it's federal land,
if I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked at it right now, but yeah, I believe it's federal land. But I think you can still guide on state land as well. But these, mossback guides and outfits like that, they can still go make their living. And where, fried feathers, like I said, they're I wouldn't say primarily, but a big portion of their clientele is swan hunters. And they don't, it's not like you can come here and buy an over the counter swan tag. You have to draw the tag. And I don't see where, it's like a push and shove kind of deal where these guys can hunt big game on public land, but now these swan hunters cannot. Like I feel kind of, it's kind
that's
of
what I've been talking about. If the Salt Lake, the Great Salt Lake, is federally owned and land, and this is a federal decision, then I don't think it would have been up to y'all's state house. It would have probably been a federal deal. I guess. I don't know. I don't know nothing about it. I didn't hear nothing about this.
It is a federally managed bird refuge.
The Great Salt Lake is. So it's
Great Salt Lake in the northern Utah is the largest lake west of the Mississippi River and the largest salt lake in the Western Hemisphere. It is nevertheless a critically important habitat for millions of native and migratory birds and is federally managed. And is a federally managed bird refuge.
I'm going to say the outfitters that are doing big game hunts in Utah better watch their ass because they're probably going to cut them out too next. I mean, how can you tell a guy that's guiding elk hunts on public land, it's okay for you to do it, but the guy that's hunting swans or teal or mallards, whatever, if they're guiding on public lake, we're going to take it out. Unless it's a refuge type deal, and that would be different because most of y'all's public land up there isn't a refuge. It's just national forest, right?
We'll repeat that one more time.
The forest land around in northern Utah or southern Utah, where that's going to be federal forest. That's not going to be a game refuge. Like I didn't realize the Great Salt Lake was considered a refuge.
Well, not the whole Great Salt Lake. They section off areas of it that are a couple hundred acres. Some even bigger than that. And I think like the Bear River is a federal run refuge versus like a Farmington Bay, which is a state run waterfowl management area. But they have the same way, kind of goes into the big game as well, where they'll have state wildlife management areas or state owned land, and then they'll have federal BLM lands as well. So it's kind of a mix between both.
It's going to be an interesting topic because I have a feeling it's going to spill over to other places. I don't know how much guiding is done on public or federal. There's a difference now. I didn't realize the Salt Lake. I thought that was just public lake. I did not realize it was a federally regulated wildlife refuge because, like the Columbia River in Oregon, I think a lot of people guide off of it. Well, that's just I'm assuming that's just public waterway. But
for the most part, I mean, a lot of it is public land. I mean, like the general area of the Great Salt Lake is public. Like if you were to go launch a boat out of a marina and go onto the actual Salt Lake, I believe that's just federal land versus these waterfowl management areas, which they're not necessarily. I mean, they're part of the Salt Lake. They're bays, kind of essentially, to where they kind of dike off water because our water is just drying up out here, and they dike off these systems to where they just have these giant units that are just wrapped around, and those are the waterfowl management areas themselves.
Now, why are y'all are y'all in a big drought right now?
Oh yeah, this year, this is probably going to be the worst year we have right now. I mean, we didn't get any weather this winter, and I do fertilizer for my job, so I see the grass right now. I mean, springtime when it's supposed to be green and growing up pretty well, it's dry, yellow, and we can't water the lawns right now. They're talking right now with a lot of the cities to not allowing watering till late June. I mean, we're already almost done with the runoff of our snow melt, and our lakes. I mean, I would say the majority of our lakes are 60% capacity right now when they're, they should be above capacity with the spring runoff. And I don't know how that is going to affect our waterfowl hunting in the future. And I mean, we had it a couple years ago to where a lot of these, like I said, these waterfowl management areas, these units, these big diked off areas where they don't have any water in them because they didn't have the water to pump into them or the water to push into them. And I don't know how the effect on waterfowl hunting is going to be. Because I mean, a lot of our pintails, mallards and everything like that, they don't like to go out on the Great Salt Lake itself because it's so salty that, I mean, the ducks that stay out there are those teal and the shovelers because they look for the brine shrimp eggs, and that's why they're out there versus these other ducks, these better puddle ducks that come out here, and they are eating, the sago grass and all the aquatic life there.
I'll tell you,
and I don't know what the effect will be.
We are in a critical time with this spring and the hatch, because I saw a map yesterday someone put on there that had the mallard, and I can't remember who that was. Was it Kevin? I don't remember who it was. Somebody put a map on it, and it showed it, and it's the same major drought area, which is North Dakota, South Dakota, Saskatchewan, and Alberta. And then you're telling me y'all are having drought-like areas too. So the duck numbers are going to have to be a little off this year, probably.
I'd like to think. I mean, and we don't have the weather that's pushing these birds down during the regular migration. I mean, it's going to hell pretty quick. And I mean, just in the last 4 years, I mean, we just haven't had major weather that has pushed. I mean, I'm sure we'll still always have a migration of birds, but to see it from 10 years ago to now is a major difference. And I mean, we don't see the big pushes of birds like we didn't even have big pushes of birds to begin with, but we're not seeing these pushes of birds like we once had.
Yeah, we had no winter this year by no doubt, and y'all are in a drought, and the Dakotas are in a drought, and it's definitely gonna change the puddle ducks for sure.
So this bill also says that it would ban trail cams and baiting.
Yeah, I read about this. I think that's for the big game.
Yes, for big game.
As far as that
Correct.
goes. And did it say ban of trail cameras? Yep. Oh my, that's gonna hurt a lot of people.
But I don't know if that's. I'm trying to read and listen and talk at the same time, and it's difficult. But I don't know. Is this just on public land that they would?
No, I was reading about the baiting the other day, which kind of, I mean, doesn't affect us a huge amount. I mean, if you have unless you have private land with mule deer on it or private land with elk on it, I feel like that's the only reason you'd need to bait, because I mean, if it's on public land, if you're baiting on public land, anyone can go hunt your bait pile.
Right.
But I mean, they did away with baiting on public land or private land as well, so you can't hunt over. I don't know how this is going to affect like people hunting salt licks. I mean, that's a big thing for elk. I mean, a lot of these elk hunters will throw a salt lick out with a trail camera, and it's sounding like they're not going to be able to do that. So I don't know if they're now just kind of wanting to turn this state into a spot and stock state or what. But I mean, it seems like they kind of aren't getting their ducks in a row, and it's kind of, I don't know. It seems like Utah's kind of going down the shitter right now.
When you say baiting, so you're talking about just a deer feeder. Is that what they're talking about?
This says piles of apples.
Yeah, green apples. I remember listening to you guys' podcast.
Y'all got Sasquatches out there then.
I don't know about them. I ain't never heard of her. But green apples are a big one. Mule deer love them. I'll tell you that much.
That's what they're talking about baiting. So they're baiting for the deer. See, like in Texas, we can have feeders and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
But in Utah, you can't have a feeder. I didn't know if it was talking about bait like for a bear or if they were talking about elk and stuff.
And I don't know the effect it's going to have on baiting black bear, because that's another big one. Is these guys will go out there and bait, add bait barrels full of donuts and stuff like that, just stuff they get at the bakery. And I don't know if they're no longer allowed to do that.
Yes, it does say. Okay,
like
so here's another one. It does say on public land. Utah to outlaw baiting and trail cams on public land. A look into House Bill 295. So,
okay,
I'm guessing it.
Are y'all going to
now
vote
banning baiting and trail cameras on public land from August 1st is now attached to the bill. So, anyway, what were we gonna say, Jeff?
I was gonna say I hope y'all get Mitt Romney's ass out of there when next time he's up for a vote.
Yeah, I don't know much about his political standpoint, but
he's a fuckhead. That's what I'm gonna say.
He was he was pushing back on Fauci a little bit last week.
He should. Every one of them should. He's a fuck stick also. Both of them are. So no baiting on public land of any kind. No trail cams. I didn't realize that many people would use trail cams on public land, because I'm afraid somebody's going to steal that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's a big topic. during the archery season or preseason scouting. I mean, every other day on the big game forum, hey, who's this asshole? They stole my camera, blah, 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 blah. And
But I mean, here's the deal. Like, you're on public land. Like, that's a slippery slope. I mean, that's like...
You shouldn't steal nobody's shit.
Right, but do you have private property if you just leave it out there?
Yeah.
Really?
You can't leave a car out there and someone steal it.
So if I left my backpack on the Washington Memorial for just weeks...
Somebody shouldn't steal it, but somebody's going to.
It should just stay there?
That's in Washington fucking D.C. It'll get stolen in 5 minutes.
But that, I mean, I have an issue with people leaving private property on public land and expecting it not to get fucked with.
Someone's going to steal it, but that doesn't give you a right to. If you leave your car on the side of the highway, somebody shouldn't steal it.
It's collateral damage, right, in my mind.
It is collateral. I'll give you that. But people...
Well, and how much public land do you guys have out there?
Not much.
It's not very much.
We don't have much at all. But if we had public land out here and you left your trail cam and someone stole it, I thought, well, you dumb fucker, what do you expect?
Right.
Exactly. That doesn't give them the right to steal it, but I'm not shocked about getting stolen.
Right. I'm not saying that it gives them the right to steal it, but I'm also saying, what did you expect?
Yeah. Now.
Yeah, I get that part of it. But yeah, we have so much public land here that it's, I mean, some of these people are hiking in 4 miles where you might not see a single person during the whole hunt and popping a trail camera right on a watering hole or a heavy deer trail, and some guy comes walking by and sees it and takes it. I mean, I feel it just falls under ethics of, if it's not your shit, don't touch it.
You shouldn't.
But
you shouldn't, but it's going to happen, and if it gets stolen, don't be fucking shocked. Also, don't get on a forum and bitch because some other fucker's hunting the same water hole you are, because it's public land.
Exactly.
If you don't like that, go hunt private. And I understand everybody's, some people are going to be like, well, go damn, you not as easy as you think it is.
They don't have much private up there.
Right.
So.
But if it's a free place to hunt,
right,
don't complain when some other guy's hunting in your backyard. Ethics should take place.
I believe that part of it too. It's. I mean, and they make ways you can secure your lock. Like they make bear boxes that are lockable. And I mean, I've heard stories of people cutting them off, but at the same time, I mean, these people are just going out and buying a $75 trail camera from their local hardware shop and putting it on the closest tree next to a road or right off a fucking hiking trail, and shocked someone stole it. I mean, that's.
You get a fucking granola cruncher pissed off at that, I mean, just people out hiking and see a trail camera there, well, they're definitely going to take it.
What about the guys that are getting sheds and stuff? Is that still legal in Utah?
Oh yeah, it's a big one. That's one of my favorite things to do aside from waterfowl hunting is shed hunting. I mean, it's all not regulated as much. I mean, Wyoming and everywhere else, I mean, they have a opening day to where you can't gather them for the wintering times. But Utah's pretty open about it. They allow it pretty much year round. A few years ago, they did the closure for it to where it opens on like April 1st or whenever it opens. So that one's a pretty big sport here. It seems to be a big one that's getting more and more popular.
I saw a guy on Instagram the other day had a backpack, 300 pounds of fucking horns on there. I'm thinking, God, which they sell them things for a lot of money.
Yep. You can make a pretty good penny if you find a lot of horns. I mean, but some, some people don't sell them. I keep all my big deer antlers. I found, when I find elk antlers, those are the ones that go for big money, especially, there's some of them are weighing average 12 pounds and, you can make 14, 15, I don't know what the price is right now, but $16 a pound for brown elk antlers. I mean, $150 antler laying on the ground if you find a bunch of that.
Now, do elk antlers, this might be a dumb question, but I've never seen an elk antler. Do they turn white after like a year or two out there, just like a deer antler would?
Yeah.
Yep. The way they grade them is basically on that, which your best grade antler is going to be your brown, which is going to be that season. Then after the first season, they start to turn white and crack up, and then the price slowly goes down from there.
You know what they're doing? They're selling the Chinese to make their pee-pees hard.
Right, yeah.
That's what it's for.
Ray Lewis was taking that
dog
too.
Treat, too. Dog treat's a big one right now.
What is?
Dog treats, like dog chews.
They make out of elk antlers?
Yep.
Oh, I thought you meant they was making your pee-pee hard.
No, they did that. That was the big one I heard of, was the for aphrodisiacs for Chinese people, but I mean, fuck, they'll anything that has to do with wild animals, they'll make their dicks hard. But
Clay Reed says
kind of what they are.
it's codeine now is what it is. It's not Viagra, it's codeine.
Fucking rhino horn.
Yeah, just grind that shit up. Do they take it in a pill form, I wonder, or are they snorting that shit?
I think so. They rub it on their dick with some honey.
Mm.
You imagine coming out of the bedroom with some honey and that shit crusted all over it. Oh, my God. The Chinese people, boy, they're good for everything. Corona and hard dick medicine out of horns.
Just the shit that people will try. Like, I'm looking at a deer antler right now that's next to me. It's like, I would never think to, like, grind that fucker up, put it in a pill form, and, like, add some other shit to it. And
even with the rhino horns, that's what those rhino poachers do. They'll just cut the antler or the horn off a rhino. And how did that get started? Like, it's just grinding it up and snorting it. But
I'm kind of like you. In the 1300s, did some guy go, me pee-pee don't get hard no more. And we'll try to snort a line of this rhino horn. Woo! Got hard, and boy, it's a new medicine.
I doubt it was like that. I'm sure it was like they just fucking bored and ran out of cocaine and like, fuck it, this is white. This will be close enough. We'll sell this. What they probably did is there was a dealer one time, came up from Mexico, ran out of cocaine, only had a deer antler, ground it up into powder, sold it as cocaine, and then his customer's like, man, what the fuck did you sell me? I got my dick wouldn't go down for like 7 days. And they're like, oh, fuck, we're on something else here. Just like Viagra. I'm saying it right now. Elk antlers and deer antlers came up because the drug dealer ran out of cocaine, and that's all he had on hand.
Well, we're going to get fact checked for sure on that because everything we do does.
I mean, just how else are you going to come up with something like that?
Makes you wonder what's in it that does it, but they damn sure use the shit out of it. I can't believe they let you sell the horns because you cannot sell certain mounts. It's against the law in Texas, and I don't know exactly what it is, and I'm sure it's
in Utah. You can't gather the deadheads unless you get permission from the Division of Wildlife Resources. They come out and check it and make sure it wasn't poached and everything like that. And that's the only time you can collect the deadheads. And I mean, it has to. I don't know what the rules are on, the antler buyers buying. I don't know if they can buy deadheads or if they can. If it has to be approved by the Division of Wildlife Resources. But I think it just has to be a full shed horn.
It's amazing, but I'm surprised if they're having that much trouble with shit why they let people sell them in the first place. If there's an issue with getting them shipped over to China and all this other bullshit, whatever it is. So,
yeah.
Anyways, Brock, we appreciate you being on here with us, bud.
Yeah.
What's your snow goose hunting? What's your website?
I guide for Up North Outdoors. They were under hot water this year, but with that, I remember hearing you guys talk about that with that Cole Grimley.
We had never have talked about him. We've just referenced him a few times. Is that who you work for?
Yeah. No.
I thought Mercedes put him in his place.
Yeah. Yeah, someone did. I mean, made him his bitch. But yeah, I work for Up North Outdoors. We do spring snow goose hunts. And then aside from that, just waterfowl hunting here in Utah.
And your competition with this other guy? Is that what you were saying?
No. It all started with one of our guides, Gerald, who owns an outfit with Bobby. I don't know what started it, but the Up North page posted a picture of us grass and blinds, and that Cole Grimley guy just got on and started trashing it, trashing on how he's the best and how he kills the most and he makes more positive. And he does this shit every year. Last year it was with a different outfit, and he's done it with Tony Vandemore. He's done it with fucking everyone who's snow goose guides. And I mean, it just started off as Facebook drama. Then he, his fucking.
I remember all of this.
I don't remember this.
Yeah. This was the guy who was going to whoop that guy's ass. And when to meet him, he was going to pay $10,000 to meet him somewhere, and he'd put the cash up. And then when Mercedes pulled her deal, we didn't hear no more about him no more. That was the end of that deal.
Yeah, he kind of went away after that. That'll do that to a person, but yeah, that's essentially. I mean, he just loves that kind of shit. He loves the drama of it and loves causing shit with people. And I'm not gonna badmouth him or whatever.
No, not at all.
I don't want that fucking guy, coming after me. But at the same time, it's, it is what it is.
And all y'all were doing was grass and blinds?
Exactly. It just posted a picture, and he got into it with one of our guides over the social media, and it just kind of escalated from there.
Yeah, what a mess. I'm telling you what, you snow goose guys.
Yeah, it's all the fucking dramas up there. But she ruined it for about 30 days because everybody quit. That was the end of it.
Well, that'll do that to you guys. Shit. Different strokes, though. Whatever. You're into what you're into.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Well, we appreciate you being on here, bud.
And other people might be into you.
Of course.
Yeah. You take...
Exactly. Some people like snorting rhino horns. Some people like a dick in the ass, but whatever. You do you. Whatever.
Well, man, you take care of yourself. You have a great summer, and keep us posted on how things go this year.
Yeah, you guys take care and have a good
We appreciate you, bud.
See you, bro.
God bless you.
Okay, bye.
The best ending of a podcast in a long time.
Not to talk shit about the guy.
But.
No, not at all. Not at all, bud.
All right, we appreciate everybody listening. Take care. Have a great week. God bless y'all, and come to Squad Fest and check us out June 11th and 12th, right? Did I get the dates right?
Yes, June 11th and 12th. First major calling contest since COVID. Did you see me in that promo, Jeff?
Of what promo?
The promo that they put out.
The dive bomb one?
Yes, very professional.
Yeah, your mom's playing it at the house all the time as you walk in the door. Ring our doorbell, and Andy's promo comes up. I didn't realize you talked with your hands so much.
Oh, Jeff, if you tied my hands behind my back, could make 2 sentences.
Well, you do a good job, and you did a good job on that promo.
Oh, yeah, I knocked it out of the park.
And you and Zach are on their poster, their deal.
I did. Knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
So I could do with everything else.
You're world famous, Andy.
World famous.
Getting lots of love from
You got to
lots of
talk
people.
with your hands, though. It drives your point home. If you talk with your hands and use the F word, like it's just punch. What did you do with the stork shooter hoodies?
I don't have any stork shooter hoodies.
Stoner said you hid them.
A what?
You hid them.
I don't know what Stoner's talking about, to be honest with you. Why would I hide them?
I'm just telling you, somebody in the Looking Glass Duck Club podcast group said that they need a stork shooter hoodie. Stoner said, I'm a member and I don't even have a hoodie. And I replied to Stoner, I thought everybody got a hoodie. And he said, no, Jeff hid them.
Why would I hide them from him?
I don't fucking know.
I'll have to look in the back room and see if they're there. I'm not gonna hide nothing from Josh. Why would I wouldn't do it on purpose.
Fuck if you wouldn't.
Why would I hide those?
Because you knew everybody's fucking looking forward to the stork shooter hoodies.
No, I didn't. But I got Logan really good last night.
Yeah, I saw he was in the McDonald's parking lot.
We're talking on the phone, and he orders a McFlurry for his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'll take a medium McFlurry, please. And I said, and show me your tits, please. And he's like, you motherfucker, you're on speakerphone. Mm. And then he said it again to her. She's like, excuse me? Yeah, and I said it again, too.
Well, too bad the missus had to go to McDonald's to get the McFlurry.
Well, I didn't want to call him out for having to stop by her a McFlurry, but
he could have given her his own McFlurry.
That's right. Anyways, I'll look for these stork shooting shirts to see where they're at. And come by and see us at the Squad Fest. We're going to be doing some podcasts there, and we got a surprise there that Andy doesn't know about, too, that'll be there also.
What's the surprise?
Well, I'm not telling you, Andy. It's a surprise.
Huh.
But you'll have to just come by and check us out.
Like the surprise is going to be with us the whole time?
Just go to Pacific Game Calls. We have a surprise.
Okay.
Anyways, I appreciate y'all very much listening to us. We'll see y'all at the Squad Fest in St. Louis, at the Pacific Game Call booth, or at our podcast booth. Take care and God bless.
What's a surprise going to be? I guess all right, go check out all of our sponsors. Check out Bangtail Whiskey, like Jeff said earlier. Check out Eyesight Drone Service. If you've got a piece of property that needs to be marked or you want to find out all this cool shit, go to Eyesight Drone Services, get them. Go to Goose Creek Retrievers, Gundog Outdoors, Pacific Calls, Stanfield Hunting Outfitters, Blind Grass, Dive Bomb Industries, Boss Shot Shells, Dirty Duck Coffee, Lucky Duck, and the Looking Glass Duck Club.